Hello second graders, and welcome to the second part of our math lesson for today. So again, we are doing lesson 8.6, which is called Measure in Inches and Feet. And the essential question that we're going to be asking ourselves and answering by the end of this lesson is, why is measuring in feet different from measuring in inches? So remember, the key thing that we learned about in the video before this one was that there are 12 inches in 1 foot. So you always have to remember that when they say like a certain number of feet, that means it's a certain number of like 12 inches. So for example, 3 feet would be 3 sets of 12 inches. So just think of one ruler as being 1 foot. So one ruler is 1 foot, but also 12 inches. And so I'm going to kind of show you how to count or measure something in inches and in feet. Okay, so one of the first examples that we saw in the last video was the table, right? So this is a really good example of how you can measure one object in inches or in feet. So it says 12 inches is the same as 1 foot, just like what we said. A 12-inch ruler is about 1 foot long. You can measure lengths in inches and also in feet. So for example, down here it says the real table is about 60 inches long. The real table is also about 5 feet long. So 5 feet is the same as 60 inches. And what that means, and I'm going to show you more kind of in depth, is, so remember, 1 foot is 12 inches. So if we have 5 feet, that's basically like adding 12 to itself 5 times. So that's what you kind of see I did here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 12s, right? So you can kind of see that you can almost represent the 12s as 1 foot or 1 ruler. So now what you can do is you can add up the 12 inches. So 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 plus 2 is 6, 6 plus 2 is 8, 8 plus 2 is 10. So we would put our 0 right there, and then we would carry the 1, right? So just like how we normally would add. So then we have a 1 up here, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So this would be 60. Okay? So that's kind of how you can find out how many feet long an object is, but also how many inches long an object is. Okay? So we're going to do a little bit more practice with this with some examples. Now, they didn't give me some like model rulers to use for these activities, so I actually measured some of my own things, and I'm just showing you how many rulers I use to measure some of my personal things. So one thing that I measured was my own chalkboard that I have at my house. So my chalkboard, I use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rulers to measure it. These are 12-inch rulers, so I used 5 of them. So if I used 5 of these rulers to measure my chalkboard, we can easily say that my chalkboard is 5 feet long, right? And then inches, right? So again, I took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 12s, and now I'm going to add them up together. So 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 plus 2 is 6, 6 plus 2 is 8, 8 plus 2 is 10, so I would make a 0, carry the 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's another example of how 5 feet and 60 inches are pretty much the same measurement. You're just changing the unit of measurement. Okay? So now I have a poster at my house, and for my poster, from one end of the poster all the way to the other end of the poster, I used 4 rulers. So I know that 4 12-inch rulers, 1, 2, 3, 4, could be 4 feet long. Okay? Now let's find out how many inches there are. So I added 12 to itself 4 times. So 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 plus 2 is 6, 6 plus 2 is 8, and then I have 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 plus 1 is 4. So I know that my poster is 48 inches long. Okay? just like that. Let's do a few more examples. So I also have a desk at my house, and my desk, from one end of the desk to the other, I used 4 rulers. And remember, I used the rulers kind of like this, putting them like one after the other. So I didn't really do that here because I didn't want to confuse you, but this is how you would measure the actual object, is by putting the rulers kind of right next to each other. Okay, so if I used 4 rulers to measure my desk, and each ruler is 12 inches long, then I can say that my desk is 4 feet long. And now for the inches, I then add 12 to itself 4 times. So 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 plus 2 is 6, 6 plus 2 is 8, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So my desk is also 48 inches long. Okay? Now I have an easel at my house that I like to do for a lot of like painting and artwork and stuff like that. And so when I put one ruler kind of like on top of the other and measured the length of the easel from top to from bottom to top, I used 3 rulers, 3 12-inch rulers. So that means that my easel is 1, 2, 3 feet long. And then for inches, remember, each foot is 12 inches. So I can add 12 3 times. So 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 plus 2 is 6. And then 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. So my easel, from the bottom to the very top, is 36 inches. And I could say either one. I could say my easel is 36 inches long, or I could say that my easel is 3 feet long. Either way, both would be correct. Okay, let's do one more object. So this one is a bookcase. And so I measured my bookcase from one end to the other end. And when I did that, I used 3 rulers. This one actually might be pretty close, but they kind of went like this. Now my bookcase is a little bit bigger than the one in the picture, so this is how long really my bookcase was. It was like this. Okay, so I used 3 rulers to measure my bookcase at home. And so I know that because each ruler is 12 inches, or 1 foot, if I have 3 of them, then that means that my bookcase from one side to the other was 3 feet long. And now I can find out how many inches it is. So 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 plus 2 is 6. And then 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. So therefore, my bookshelf is 36 inches. Okay? So I'll write 36 right there. So pretty easy. So when you use your ruler, however many rulers you use to measure an object, you can say that that's how many feet it is. So if you count 4 rulers for one object that you measured, then you could say you have 4 feet. The inches part is the one that's tricky. So you have to make sure that when you're counting inches, you always want to make sure that you're taking 12 inches from one ruler, 12 inches from the other rulers, and adding those 12 inches together to find out how many total inches each object is. So it's a little bit tricky, so hopefully that helped you out a little bit to kind of understand what to do. All right, so this last question says, Stephen is telling his brother about using a ruler. Which sentence is true? So we're going to go through each option here and see which one is true. So A says, 1 inch is the same length as 1 foot. Well, that can't be true, right? Because remember, 1 foot is 12 inches. So 12 inches is the same length as 1 foot, but this one says only 1 inch is the same as 1 foot. So this one can't be right. Okay, so let's check B. 1 foot is a greater length than 1 inch. Yeah, that one works because 1 foot, remember, is 12 inches. And so this is almost like saying 12 inches is a greater length than 1 inch, which would be true. 12 is bigger than 1. So that one is true. Let's make sure that it's the only one that's true, and in case we have to click some other options. 1 inch is a greater length than 1 foot. Well, that's kind of the opposite of B, right? So if B is correct, then C can't be correct. 1 inch is not greater than 1 foot, which is 12 inches. So that one doesn't make any sense. And then D says inches are not used to measure length. Well, that can't be true because we used inches last week to measure different objects, right? So D cannot be true either. So the correct answer has to be B. 1 foot is a greater length than 1 inch, which is very true. Okay, so hopefully these extra examples kind of helped you understand a little bit better on how you can measure objects both in feet and in inches. And if you want to measure some objects around your house and use feet and inches to help you better understand it as well, definitely do that, because that will also help you kind of get that hands-on experience of measuring objects both in feet and in inches. So hopefully this video helped you. Hopefully the other video helped you as well. I think now everybody is ready to go and log into Think Central and do the assignment for 8.6. And good luck on your math homework. And if you need help at all, please feel free to go on to office hours from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock today, and me and Mrs. Zillahy will be gladly we will gladly help you if you need help. Okay, everybody? Have a great day, and again, good luck on your math homework.